Hello and welcome back to an episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. Faster than light travel, the holy grail of technological progress for advanced civilizations. It is a speed so great that the human mind can barely even conceive of it, and certainly no one in the present day has ever experienced it, save for a handful of Jamaicans. Still, when we compare sci-fi franchises, we measure them by a number of things, such as the quality of their aliens, the creativity of their ships, the variety of their worlds, and so on. But any true sci-fi nerd knows that no matter how good all of those elements are, if a franchise's FTL travel isn't well executed, all could be for naught. Yes, every sci-fi franchise has a take on how the ships in their universe get from one point in space to another. Because of course the distance between points in just this solar system alone is inestimable. Okay, maybe it's estimable, but I really suck at math. But I digress. It's always interesting to find out how a given sci-fi franchise does FTL travel. Some methods of FTL are really well thought out and others are a bit lazier for the sake of not having to worry about science geeks calling out the errors in your show, Firefly. So last week, British Ben covered the fastest FTL travel in sci-fi, so this week I thought, why don't we try and figure out which sci-fi franchises have the most dangerous FTL travel methods. But first, video games are canceled. More canceled than a YouTube channel with two hosts who have a long history of saying terrible things about xenomorphs. I hear people are defending them now. Oh wait, that was me also. Anyway, video games are canceled because Raid Shadow Legends has set a new standard in gaming. They bring a console-level experience to our phones, as well as to our hearts. Listen, I can't shoulder the hordes alone anymore. My brethren, the battle now calls to you. Enter Teleria, wherein you shall fight your way through dungeons teeming with nightmares made manifest. Its campaign, its story will change you. I sleep with the lights on now, but that's okay because I own stock in the electric company. Raid's 12 unique locations and 3 difficulty levels will keep you glued to the game for hours on end. And then on top of that, there are 13 unique factions to control, which include dwarves, orcs, knights, and yes, of course, the undead as well. Love the undead. There are over 460 unique champions, which is like 360, but 100 more. I personally really like the battle system in the game. It's easy to learn, but works really smoothly, and it also allows for a lot of customization. It's so easy to get lost in this game all day. And Raid just released its biggest update ever, which includes the Doom Tower. 120 floors filled with secret challenge rooms and badass bosses lurking throughout. The Doom Tower is really challenging and addicting, and it won't disappoint. And on top of all of this, Raid just added a bunch of amazing new champions to the game. So please help support this channel and have yourself a damn good time by using my links down below to download Raid Shadow Legends. And as a new player, you'll get an exclusive welcome pack, which contains all sorts of goodies from silver to gems to mystery shards and this free champion. Shaman is a really great gal, aside from the whole collecting skulls thing. We all have our flaws though. Anyway, you'll find these extras in your inbox for the next 30 days only. Raid really needs reinforcements, and I'm trying to get them 45 downloads as soon as possible. So please help me reach that goal by using my links down below to download Raid now. I'll see you in the game. Anyway, now back to today's video. Now please note we are going to stick to FTL travel methods that humans use or have used. Aliens do all sorts of perverted stuff to propel themselves through space, and this is a family channel, goddammit. But also there's just so many FTL travel methods out there, it would just make this video too unwieldy to consider all of them. So if you're wondering why, say, the Starburst method of FTL from Farscape is on this list, this is why. Although it's a bit of a wild ride, especially for lower life forms, it's mostly an alien FTL method utilized almost exclusively by the Leviathans and Elon Musk. Anyway, let's do this. In 5th place is Marvel's Universal Neural Teleportation Network. Now this may be a bit of a surprise to y'all because Marvel usually gets excluded from the conversation when FTL is discussed. Nonetheless, there is FTL in the Marvel Universe. The Universal Neural Teleportation Network, or UNTN, is a method by which a ship generates a system of wormholes called jump points throughout the space-time continuum and then uses those points to rapidly transport itself from point A to point B. Now we've seen this method used a number of times throughout Marvel history, but I think it's most closely associated with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now what makes it dangerous? Well, typically it's somewhat safe, but in the case that one is in more of a rush than usual, more jumps must be implemented in order to speed up the travel time a bit. The problem is that each jump takes a toll on the passengers in the ship, and these jumps are risky, though they often only result in some hilarious physical distortions. Still, I have to imagine there could be some serious long-term negative effects to follow. We don't know this for sure, but I mean, Disney isn't going to show you what Star-Lord looks like at 55. They sign all these heroes to NDAs and then hide them away as they age and mutate. Next up, in 4th place, is slipstream space from Halo. Slipspace is a series of hyper-compressed dimensions which, not unlike the FTL and many other sci-fi franchises, is separate from the reality in which humans exist. The invention of the Shaw-Fujikawa Translight engine, which employs particle accelerators that rip apart real space by generating micro-black holes, is what allows humans in Halo to enter the realm and initiate FTL travel. Despite this advanced technology, UNSC flight crews must still calculate their slipspace jumps carefully, because the course through slipspace is highly complex to navigate. On top of that, time has an abnormal flow in slipspace, as in it's not constant, and even the best calculations may not work out, especially in terms of predicting travel time, something which tactically speaking can result in a failed or misexecuted mission. What really makes slipspace dangerous, though, is that it isn't a stable dimension, and thus, save for those with the very best Shaw-Fujikawa drives and gravity wells, many ships experience a range of struggles when undertaking FTL travel, particularly when entering and exiting slipspace. Actually, only the biggest, most durable ships normally even attempt slipspace travel. Smaller vessels are forced to do it every now and again, and often absorb damage while doing so. Radiation is also a challenge for UNSC ships in slipspace. They have lead foil installed to negate its effects, but that doesn't mean that crews aren't still affected. Actually, there's probably a massive cover-up. Sorry, my mistake. Actually, there have been no reported casualties as of yet due to slipspace travel, and UNSC crews actually are known to prefer it and describe it as a pleasant journey. Next, in 3rd place, we have the Infinite Improbability Drive from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The upside to this FTL drive is that it allows for some of the fastest travel known throughout sci-fi. We're talking but a fraction of a second elapses before a ship outfitted with this device arrives at its destination, despite the fact that in that time it passes through every conceivable point in every conceivable universe. However, here's the downside. There are almost always wild side effects that result from using the improbability drive. We're talking changes both to the passengers in the ship and to space around it. For now, most of these side effects have been rather tame, albeit random, but the reason the improbability drive makes the list is because it actually may have the best chance of destroying the universe at some point. In 2nd place is Star Trek's Quantum Slipstream Drive. And sorry, I know all the slipspace and slipstream stuff is getting all kind of confusing and sexual and whatever, but nonetheless, we have to have at least one entry from Star Trek on this list because there's a lot of terrible methods of FTL in its universe. As a matter of fact, I almost put subspace corridors on here as well, but I decided to only go with the Quantum Drive. What is the QSD? Well, it was a type of propulsion technology, obviously, which was actually adopted from alien technology, specifically from Species 116, by the crew on the USS Voyager. And damn, between subspace corridors and this, it's always the Voyager crew that seems to be getting themselves into the most FTL danger. The QSD allowed the Voyager to exceed its maximum warp factor by many times. It did this by routing the ship's energy through its main deflector, which itself focused a quantum field, allowing the ship to penetrate the quantum barrier. Yeah, simple enough. The problem is that the quantum field had to be constantly monitored and adjusted, as even the slightest miscalculation could lead to a slipstream collapse, which would result in the ship being violently thrown from slipspace far from its intended destination. And not like wrong street far, like wrong star system far. Finally, in 1st place, this list would make no sense if 40K's warp travel didn't come out on top. Now, when I list 40K here, I'm of course including Event Horizon's FTL travel with it. Both methods lead to hell. Just as 40K takes place later in this combined universe's timeline, at the point its story takes place, humans have actually figured out how to get out of hell. So yes, all races in 40K must travel through the warp or immaterium to initiate FTL travel. And it's not fun for any of them, save for maybe the traitor Space Marine legions. Check that, there are no traitor legions, I was wrong. All subjects of the Emperor, I can assure you, are loyal to His Holiness. Still, the warp sucks. It's an alternate dimension of psychic energy spread at least galaxy-wide that's filled with all sorts of ungodly terrors such as the Chaos Gods and their demon servants, which seek to feast upon the souls of all living beings. The warp is almost impossible to navigate as it's an ethereal realm where space-time does not exist as it does in real space. And the longer that a ship stays in the warp, the more of a chance that something horrific is going to happen. And yes, ships often never make it out of the warp once they go in, and even sometimes when they do, they emerge with their crews missing. The warp is quite possibly the state of utmost evil and horror in all dimensions across existence. But other than all of that, the warp is a perfectly safe place. Human ships in 40K have giant warp drives installed in them, which allow them to enter immaterium. But once inside, they must rely on a psychic navigator and good fortune to get through safely. The navigator basically points the ship to parts of the warp that correspond to points in real space, and the crew members cross their fingers and hope that he didn't fake his resume. Warp drives also have modules attached to them which project a force field called a Geller field, which protects human ships from warp demons. Now, you know how you might get nervous that, say, your VPN will crash while surfing the internet? Well, imagine how a crew traveling through the warp feels. If their Geller field fails, demon entities will tear the ship apart and swallow their souls. Again, other than that, FTL travel in 40K is perfectly safe. For the record, intelligent alien races like the Eldar use a special network of tunnels situated between real space and the warp, known as the Webway, to execute FTL travel, but they keep the secrets of the Webway to themselves and thus screw over humans. Though to be fair, I definitely would spill the beans to orcs and/or chaos demons under the slightest interrogation. Hey, I'm a survivor. But yeah, it's probably smart for the Eldar to keep their FTL methods a secret. Anyways, that's the video. Give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Definitely comment down below. Let me know what I got wrong, what I got right, what I missed out on altogether. Subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell. Thanks again to Raid for sponsoring this video. My name is American Ben. I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.